Alright YouTube, what's going on? It's Mesa back at it with some Destiny 2. Alright, let's talk a little endgame. Rather than complaining about what should have been in the game, maybe let's talk about some solutions, maybe some things we would like to see in the future. Case in point, you're looking at a Prestige Lost Sector, and as you can tell how I triggered it, well, you just load up the Arms Dealer Nightfall this week, and you turn around and go back out into the European Dead Zone. Now, I did not discover this. VPain1800 on Reddit did, and I will link that Redditor in the description. And, you know, I gotta say, Reddit, you're doing better this week. You are. For the, I don't know, probably the last week or two, I just steered clear of Reddit. I would look at the front page, non-stop salt, non-stop people complaining, and I figured, hey, you know what? This week actually was pretty good. People helping out some of the folks on PC. Some more positive threads. Some more threads constructively criticizing the game and things they would like to see, rather than just bitching and moaning about what should have been in the game. Now, back on topic, if you go back out into the wild and you go into some lost sectors, yeah, they are prestige. There's no real reason to do this unless you want to just see what it's like. They are pretty difficult when you're by yourself. The enemies hit really hard. It does help that you have the Torrent Light going for you this week because you have non-stop abilities, spam, so I can constantly dodge, go invisible, throw grenades, throw smoke, so forth. But they're fun. I gotta say it, they're fun. But I want to lead it into a topic of, you know, where this game could go in terms of public events, in terms of lost sectors, in terms of just the overall game and the base game that can be added to over time to improve it, just like Destiny 1 did. So cueing the folks that, okay, this game should have been ready at launch, and why should we have to wait for it to get better? Why do we have to wait for DLC for it to get better? Well, that happened with Destiny 1, in my opinion. Destiny 1, the base game, was a good game, got better over time. But I gotta admit, guys, the salt and the trash talking in my comment section on Twitter, you know, speaking with a lot of content creators and other people in the community, the ones that are still enjoying the game like me, we're just exhausted with you. You know, like, we're at the point, we're just ignoring you now. The folks that leave something positive or maybe constructive, you know, like, hey, Bungie should do this, or I would like to see this down the road. I'd like to see something in a DLC. Yeah, those I'm paying attention to. You know, I'm listening, I'm commenting, responding. But those, you're just gonna leave nasty comments, you're not gonna get a rise out of me, folks. I'm sorry. But back on topic here. So when we first heard Destiny 2 was gonna have much more open world stuff, public events, heroic public events, lost sectors. Lost sectors, that was the one thing that really tweaked my interest the most, especially when I saw that the press got to record it. They looked amazing, and I still think they are amazing, and believe it or not, I still do them. Well, why do you still do them? Because, well, one, I think they're fun. Two, I still enjoy the game, and probably a big part of what I enjoy about the game is I just like roaming around and doing patrols, doing lost sectors, doing public events. And to be frank, I'm hoarding just a boatload of tokens from every single vendor because I can imagine as things change, as things progress, those tokens are probably going to come in handy, especially if with DLCs, if loot tables change, if they do add more weapons into the game, if they add more modifications into the game, which I hope they do. I get a feeling me hoarding hundreds of tokens, it's going to come in handy, and it's fun for me to go do it. Now, when I think of lost sectors, or when I think of what the base game has in it and what they can expand on, one of them is definitely lost sectors. I enjoy them. I think they're fun. And on Prestige, well, to solo them, they're definitely a little difficult. You know, the enemies hit really hard. You don't do as much damage. You know, like I said, granted, I've got the torrent going from the Nightfall, so I'm getting lots of grenades and abilities, but you get the point. They're difficult, and for me, they're kind of fun. Now, since I think Lost Sectors is probably one of the more interesting things within the game, or added to the Destiny franchise, there's so much they can do with these things down the road as they expand the game, as they add DLC. So off the top of my head, I'm thinking, well, what could they do with Lost Sectors to expand them for the future of the game, DLC, so forth? Well, one could be some sort of Lost Sector specific loot, kind of like how we had in Destiny 1. We had Strike specific loot, and I hope they do eventually bring something like that back, rather than just getting tokens for completing strikes. Because Lost Sectors were very effective in getting powerful gear when you're trying to gear yourself up when you start the game, right? I mean, I was doing Lost Sectors non-stop when I was trying to get my power level up, but once you reach the end game, there's no real reason to do them unless you're having fun like me. But there's a number of things. I mean, what if they added some quests to these types of things? Like, what if they even... All right, look, I don't think a raid is coming to the first expansion. I think we're going to get some sort of horde mode, but when I think of some of these lost sectors, you know, some of them are small, some of them are pretty damn big. I mean, what if they made something like you enter a lost sector, right? And it's prestige, it's 300. and the door is shut behind you, and now you're stuck in there, and you have to finish the Lost Sector, but it's so hard that you can't do it alone. Maybe you have to do it with a fire team or something. And when you complete it, you get some sort of unique reward or something. Again, thinking off the top of my head here, I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. How would you improve Lost Sectors or make them more relevant to the end game? Maybe make them little mini horde rooms, right? So say it's Flashpoint week, right, on that particular destination. What if Lost Sectors were considered part of the flashpoints? Maybe they increase the percentage that you need to do besides public events. Give us a reason to do Lost Sectors. Make the Lost Sectors prestige. Make them 300. Make them harder. What if back to the whole horde mode thing, or what if they lock the doors behind you? What if you go in there, you kill the boss, but you got to protect the loot chest for X amount of minutes or something, and you're just getting overrun with hordes and hordes of enemies, and then when you make it out of there, maybe you get some good gear, maybe you get some new loot, chance an exotic or something. Just thinking off the top of my head. But back to the endgame thing, I mean, why did we play Destiny 1 so much in the last, year or two? We were grinding for that perfect roll, whatever it was. If it was from the raid, you're grinding for raid weapons. For just regular Crucible stuff, or just weapons in general, you're grinding for the perfect roll. I miss dearly my Wounded from Future War Cult, which I talked way too much about in Destiny 1. Scout Rifle, Full Auto, Firefly, and Outlaw, right? That was like, I literally never took that Scout Rifle off for like the final year of the game. So as far as we know, static rolls are not going anywhere. And then I'm going to assume that means not only weapons, but also armor. Now, if you listen to the TwitchCon panel, you did hear Ryan say new perks and new weapons. Okay, hold on, relax before we start saying reskins, okay? I prefer perks over what the weapon looks like, okay? If the weapon has good perks, I'm gonna like it. So, if they reskin some stuff but come up with new perks or better perks, I'm all for it. Case in point, Dragonfly. Look, that thing's terrible, right? It needs to be like Firefly. Firefly needs to come back, or Dragonfly needs to change. I want to see more perks. Now, two other solutions to keep us grinding is, well, let's talk weapons first. One is when I first heard that they were going to have static rolls, I thought that the loot pool for weapons was going to be just redonkulous. But it's not. It's kind of small. Even if we take into account, okay, we have so many NPCs out in the destinations, in the tower, and they all have their own weapons, but, there's only so many that are really good, and like all Destiny players, or at least for me, I fall on my crutches, right? I find those like 10 weapons that I literally use for everything. But one solution would be is to just, throw a ton more weapons in the game, or go the whole modification route, which means just bring a whole new thing to modifications to really be able to customize every single of our guns. Now, if people are worried about balance in PvP, well, think about it. What if you got the mod system, it's already in place, it's in the game, there's tons of stuff they probably could do to it. So let's say you can grind or do things or do activities to grind for mods that you can craft or something. Let's say you have a hand cannon and you want to add Outlaw to it, okay? So, or no, let's go with like rangefinder or something, or let's pretend rangefinder. You want to throw something in there for more range, okay? So that's going to affect the Crucible. Well, I should have brought up high caliber rounds. If you want to add high caliber rounds to something, what if they made it so that, okay, these are all active in PvE, but in PvP, you just get the base mods, right? You can't put any of these custom mods that you create, craft, find, whatever. But I think for armor, custom mods needs to be in the game, and I don't just mean class ability recharge. Something like bonus damage to Cabal, right? Bonus damage to Vex, if that's the next story they're telling, then the next DLC. What if they had something like increased agility when holding the relic in whatever? Just something, because right now armor, said this numerous times, it's a big fashion show. There's no real reason. I mean, like, Prestige Raid, okay, the armor looks cool, but it's not going to benefit me in the raid. That's one of the things we loved about Destiny 1 was the raid armor for that raid gave you perks to help you within the raid. Hence why with Age of Triumph, whenever I would do that specific raid, I would switch to that armor set. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. So let's be constructive for once. Well, not for once. A lot of you guys have been very constructive and leaving cool comments in the comment section. And I've noticed the salt people, yeah, you guys are, I guess you're getting exhausted with being salty and angry. Maybe you've moved on to other things. Anyway, Babel mode's engaged. Hashtag made it to the end. Do me a favor, guys. Drop a like in this video only if you see fit. Follow me on the Twitter at Mesa Sean. Check out my stream. Usually always on YouTube, and that's it. I'm out of here like Vladimir.